I may make a Plankton video if this video doesn't lose me more motivation. Well, it seems like every single time I say how unmotivated I'd be if no one watches my video, YouTube decides to just give me all the views I need to refill my hunger/motivation bar. Now, last time I talked about Karen, which was a welcomed surprise, don't get me wrong, but I really thought that for a movie titled Plankton the Movie, I'd talk about, well, you know, Plankton, because it's his movie. We've done a deep dive into Karen, so now it's only fair that I give you one about Plankton. Now that I realize it, I never did one on Sandy, and she's had a whole movie and a Christmas special as of recently. But hey, who cares? Her movie was bad, but whose wasn't? Plankton's. Now, if you don't know, these SpongeBob videos I've been making have been a part of a series where I analyze these beloved characters from where they start and understand how far they have come from when they first appeared, and most of them, besides last time, have been negative. Thankfully though, today is another positive as Plankton has proved himself through not only his new movie, but how consistent of a character he is. So, hint hint, wink wink, this video is going to be about how Plankton the movie teaches us how to write a consistent character. In order for you to pass and be able to watch the video, you have to first like, comment, and subscribe. And although you may wonder how it's possible to withhold the video from you if you don't, you know what, just trust me and do those 3 things. Cool? Cool. I'd also like to send a special thanks to all the channel members who got to see this video days before most others for literally 99 cents. Now, what makes a character consistent? It may sound weird to say because absolutely nothing is consistent, but let me give you some examples. SpongeBob is not considered a consistent character, but his character arc never went through anything that changed who he was as a sponge, but more how the show made him slightly goofier and less funny. Now, for Plankton's case, it's much easier for him to be consistent because sometimes a villain character is the easiest to write. With a hero, you need to have a reason why they're trying to save the day, while a villain just needs to be evil. Sometimes you don't even need to make up a reason why they're evil. They can literally just be evil for the sake of it, and that's what Plankton is. Throughout 25 years of being on the air, he has barely changed. Now, what comes as a downside with a character that's too consistent is that their character gets predictable, annoying, and allows people behind the project to get lazy with the character and how they incorporate that specific person into an episode. So how is Plankton able to be a consistent character and also have the privilege of being one of the best characters in the show that's been running for 25 years? Things should turn sour at some point, right? Well, wrong. Kind of. Now, if we go back to his premiere episode called Plankton, he's basically acting in the same way you'd remember. Probably the biggest time that he shines was in the SpongeBob movie though. He was given the role as the main villain of the movie as he's pulling all the strings behind the scenes. We watch as he's able to manipulate undercover and fully take over Bikini Bottom to create his own utopia. What's really good about his characterization in this movie is that he's still the same Plankton as he was in his first premiere episode. They don't really need to make his character any different because the show turned 5 in 2004, so him being the simple villain is acceptable, and they even turned his villainy up a notch for this. Now, if you didn't know, the original SpongeBob movie was supposed to be the end of the entire show, and if you've seen it, that's pretty believable due to how complete the movie feels by the end. Plankton was able to take over, but was defeated by the sole power of rock and roll and was sent to jail. The movie felt the need to give Plankton his big hurrah, and they gave it to him freely, leading to an end of his character arc when he's finally sent to prison. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye. Wait, hold on. Don't leave yet. Turns out that this movie was going to be the end, but inevitably it was picked back up, basically scrapping the ending of the movie to let the show continue. But wait, if Plankton's arc is complete by the end of the movie, where else does he go from here? He's accomplished and also failed at his biggest plan yet, so how can he still be a villain of the next movie if he's already done his worst? Well, easy, he won't be the villain. Now, Sponge Out of Water released 11 years ago in 2015 with a different formula than you'd expect. Plankton is actually one of the saving forces of the movie, surprisingly. It starts off with us believing he's up to something, but this movie's biggest reach was making Plankton and SpongeBob work together. And yes, I know this video is about how consistent of a character Plankton is, but in order for a consistency to be good, that consistency needs to break at some point to give the audience a curveball. Exploring a new side of Plankton that we haven't seen before, we get to see him not care for the Krabby Patty secret formula and more of actually saving Bikini Bottom. Get out of my head, get out of my head, get out of my head. Now, I know this video is supposed to be about Plankton the movie, so let's speed up a little bit and talk about Sponge on the Run. So apparently I like my sanity and would rather not rewatch the movie. So I'm not going to, even though the animation is beautiful. It's like literally the best part. But the only thing you should know is that Plankton is evil again, and he basically has a similar arc to the original movie, blah blah blah, but in the end he realizes he was wrong and saves Gary and SpongeBob, blah blah blah. God, the animation is so good. Okay, here's what you actually came for. Now, with Plankton, the movie, Plankton becomes the main character, something that usually doesn't happen unless on very specific occasions. Now, as usual, Plankton stays the same, but is visibly more selfish than usual, which is the reason why Karen snaps. It's practically a calm before the storm where Plankton is still consistent. He's the same jerk, and he even sings a song about how he's a jerk later in the movie. As we go on though, and he remembers his past, the more open he becomes, kind of like the Grinch in a way. Plankton's heart grows 3 sizes bigger after he's given the empathy chip to try and actually care for once in his life. To skip a bit more though, Plankton actually didn't need it to love Karen, and they reunited to form their love once again without it. And I know you're probably asking me, dude, aren't you the guy that cries about cliches in kids' movies? The message is that Plankton never needed the empathy chip to love Karen, and that deep down he always did. How is that not a cliche? My response to that would be, yes, it is cliche, but it's taken to another level that makes it work well with the movie. Sure, Plankton actually loves Karen even without any empathy chip, but the point of that plot point is that as he was able to relive their life together, he figured out how much of a jerk he really was and how this is all of his fault for not even listening to her. Plankton revealing he doesn't need the chip to love her works because he's looking at the bigger picture. Plankton and Karen learn to love each other once again without any empathy chip, neither of them, which leads to a message about how love works, and that sometimes there will be bad times, but the only way to fix those problems is to address them and learn to fall in love again. It leaves Plankton off back to where he was as his consistent character, but with a more fond appreciation of Karen. The reason he's still consistent is that this is something that won't revolutionize his character, but acts more of an obstacle for him to check his own behavior and regain his purpose after many failed attempts of stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula. To end this video off, I want to emphasize that I don't think Plankton the movie is a masterpiece. Even though I've praised the movie in my previous 2 videos, I am mainly praising it because a lot of other modern SpongeBob is not any good, and this was an oddly well-crafted return to formula that worked in its favor to capture a long-time watcher of the show, me, to find something to actually like about it. I like that they explored a more harsh side of love and didn't take it as a joke, as I'm sure these actors, as they've gotten older, have been experiencing some new stuff, possibly so they felt the need to help people see people overcome these obstacles in a show about a talking sponge. We are so satisfyingly close to my 100th video essay, and I cannot wait to celebrate that with all of you, because as of right now, I'm projecting it will either be about Severance, aka my favorite show of all time, or Snow White, which is my least anticipated movie of the year. So it's either going to be praising Keir or crying about Disney like it's a profession. But either way, together we'll be on my 100th video essay. Hope you enjoyed this movie, and with that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.